Hello guys, in this video I'm going to teach you about constructors and destructors in C Sharp, and I'm also going to show you how you can define constructors and destructors and what is the purpose of constructors and destructors in C Sharp. So what is a constructor? A constructor is a special method in the class which we use to instantiate some values or instantiate some method. Let's see what uh, I mean by instantiation or uh, initialization. Okay, first of all, whenever you declare a class, C Sharp will create a constructor and destructor for you even if you don't define a constructor and destructor by yourself. So for example, we have defined this class in the last video. This is a box class which has the member variable length, breadth, height, lbh, and the volume. It has the member method volume, and we were calculating the volume, and we were using the instance of this class to calculate the volume, right? So this class we have written last time. So this class also has a constructor and destructor which is created by C Sharp internally for you, even if you haven't defined any constructor and destructor. And the biggest or the important property of constructor is it has the same name as your class name. Okay, so how you can define a constructor? Just give a access specifier, for example public, it should be public, and then the name of the class. Our name of the class is box, you see here. So constructor has always the same name as your class name, and just remember that constructor don't return anything. Your method return the values, and even if they don't return the value, they return null or nothing, and we will add here in returning value as void if they don't return anything. But the constructor never returns anything. Okay, so just remember that. But they can take parameters. So for taking parameters, you can pass those parameters inside these brackets, and you can also write some code inside the constructor in between these two curly braces. Okay, now I already told you that constructors are initialized automatically whenever you create an instance of a class. So to see this, let's see an example. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will say console dot write line, and I will say in this double quote the constructor is initialized. Okay, now even if I am not using this constructor in my class here, I have just defined this object of this class. Okay, so I haven't called this constructor specifically, right? But whenever you run your program, whenever you create even an object of the class, so let's try and comment this code first. Okay, so you will better understand. Okay, so now we only have the object definition box, and box1 is equal to new box. So we have created an instance of a class, and whenever you create an instance of a class, constructor is automatically called. So just when I run this program, you will see this message, the constructor is initialized, right? So at the time of making the object, this is automatically called. Okay, now let's see the definition of destructor. Destructor is also created if you don't create a destructor by yourself. C# will create a destructor for you. And destructors are also having the same name as your class name. Okay, so let's see how we can define destructor. You just need the tilde sign. Just search for this tilde sign here. It's on above your tab button. Okay, and then the same name of the class, which is box, and then just the parameter brackets and then these semicolons. Okay, so this is your destructor. And destructor is also called whenever your object goes out of scope. So you created your object, and in the next line your object has gone out of scope because you are not using this object anymore anywhere else in your code. So destructor is called automatically when your object goes out of scope. Okay, so let's try to see this behavior also. I will just copy this console.writeLine and I will say uh, the destructor is called, and when I run the program, you see here it's initialized and it's not showing any message of the destructor. Why? Because you have this console.readLine code, and this is holding this destructor to not to be called, and unless and until this is there, your object will not go out of context. So let me just comment this line console.readLine read key, and we just only have the definition of this object, which is box1 is equal to new box, right? Now I will press Control F5 to run my program. So just run your program with Control F5. Okay, and now you will see here the constructor is initialized, and when your object or instance goes out of the scope, that means it as soon as it reaches here the end of the main program, your object is out of scope now, and it calls this destructor, and it shows the message destructor is called. Okay, so just for the demonstration that this constructor and destructors are called automatically whenever you create an instance of a class and whenever you go out of scope of your instance. Okay, now this definition of constructor is not doing much, right? It's just printing a message, and you hardly do this in your coding that you want to print the message whenever you define your constructor. There are more useful ways to use constructor, and the most important use of constructor is it is used to initialize the variables in your class. Okay, or initialize values in your class. So let's see how we can initialize values in the class. So in here I have the basic definition of the constructor, public box and these curly braces, and what I can do is I can define or initialize length, breadth and height using constructor. So let's see how. I'll write double and I will say LA for length, then double br for breadth, and double hi for height. Okay, and now I will initialize, whenever I create a constructor, I want to initialize length, breadth and height. So how can I do this? I will use this. This is a special keyword which shows that your whatever you are calling is an instance of this box. Okay, so indirectly it's an instance of your class in which you are in. Dot L is equal to LA. So whatever user will give the value of LA, it will be assigned to your length. In the same way, I will define 3 length, breadth, height here. Height, this dot B, this dot H. So now what we are intending to do is, whenever I defined an instance of class, so see here, whenever I change the definition of constructor and I pass parameters here, now your definition, or here you will see the tilde or error, and when you hover over this class, it shows that it is expecting the parameters in these brackets. Okay, so now you need to give these parameters, 3 parameters which can be double values. Okay, so I will give 3 parameters here, for example 46 for length, 60 for breadth and 20 for height. Okay, and as soon as I have given these 3 parameters, the error is gone, right? So just remember this, you always, or most important use of constructor is to initialize the values or initialize the variables in the class. Okay, so now because you have defined this constructor which expect 3 parameters, you need to define an instance of class like this, box, and the box 1 is equal to new box, and pass these 3 length, breadth and height here, because you are passing 3 parameters. And now you don't even need to initialize them, length, breadth and height from here. You already have initialized it in the constructor. So this has reduced your code, right? And it will work fine when you run the program, even you haven't initialized the length, breadth and height explicitly. Now I will run the program and it doesn't show up because this console.readline is not there, so I uncomment it. Once again I run the program and it shows volume of the box is whatever is the volume, right? So in this way you can use constructors and destructors in C#. And once again, constructor and destructor are called automatically even if you don't define them by yourself. And the most important use of constructors are to initialize the values. Okay, so I hope you have understood the basic concept of constructor and destructor, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.